Some castles are famous for their battles, others for their ghosts, but a rare few are famous for who moved in. Pink Floyd recorded parts of The Wall at the Château Miraval recording studio, later owned by Brad Pitt. Hidden among olive groves and old stone, his estate became a sanctuary for both music and wine. But he wasn't the only one drawn to ancient walls and quiet corners of Europe. Johnny Depp went a step further, turning a deconsecrated church into a guest house in a forgotten French village. These places aren't just homes, they're stages, where history and celebrity ambition collide. Imagine the echo of footsteps through stone corridors, each decision leaving a mark that outlasts its owner. But before we step deeper into the story, we have a small favor to ask. Most people watch without subscribing, and honestly, we understand. But if you believe these places matter, if you think castles, whether guarded by history or claimed by Hollywood, deserve to be remembered, preserved, and passed down, then that one click makes a real difference. It costs nothing, but it helps us keep these stories alive, long after the headlines fade and the stars have moved on. So if you're with us, hit that subscribe button. Today, we're exploring what happens when modern fame meets centuries-old stone, and how each celebrity leaves their mark on these remarkable estates. Some collect cars or art. Others, like Nicolas Cage, set their sights on castles. His obsession with castles became the stuff of Hollywood legend in the late 2000s. In 2006, he bought Schloss Niedstein, a 12th century fortress in the Bavarian countryside. With 28 rooms, nearly 400 acres of forest, and a private chapel, it looked like something straight out of one of his adventure films. He poured money into renovations, hoping to turn it into a personal retreat. But the dream didn't last. In 2009, a $6.2 million tax lien, tied to unpaid taxes, forced him to sell the castle to his own legal advisor. The estate was beautiful, but impossible to maintain under financial pressure. That didn't stop him from buying another. In 2007, he purchased Midford Castle in Somerset, England, for around $6.3 million. Unlike the medieval fortress in Germany, Midford was an 18th century folly, built in the shape of a club symbol from a deck of cards. Legend says it was funded with gambling winnings. Cage loved its eccentric design and began restoring it, but his financial troubles caught up again, and by 2009, Midford was sold off, part of a larger effort to settle debts and avoid complete financial collapse. There's a strange irony in it all. Cage, who famously played a treasure hunter, lost his own castles to the one force no star can outrun: taxes. His short-lived ownership shows how quickly fame and fortune can shift, and how stone endures long after the spotlight fades. The castles remain, their walls unchanged, Cage's chapter already a footnote. Johnny Depp's vision for privacy and reinvention took shape in the south of France. In 2001, he purchased a cluster of 19th century stone buildings in Le Plan de la Tour, not just a grand house, but an entire Provençal hamlet. Over a decade, he poured over 10 million euros into restoring a dozen structures, working with local craftsmen to preserve the original terracotta tiles, timber beams, and thick stone walls. Depp's restoration balanced history with personal flair. A deconsecrated church became a guest house, its confessional cleverly repurposed as a closet. The old village restaurant became his private dining room, outfitted with antique stone. Interiors mixed rustic farmhouse charm with eclectic touches in what he called an international traveller's style. The estate stretched across 37 acres of olive groves, vineyards, and centuries-old oaks. Amenities like swimming pools, a gym, and a skate park were tucked discreetly into the landscape. Despite rumors of wild parties, neighbors described the hamlet as quiet and secluded, shielded naturally from the outside world. Depp often called the village the only place that ever felt like home. Even as maintenance costs mounted and legal battles loomed, he resisted multiple attempts to sell. For him, the village wasn't just a retreat. It was a reclamation, a place to disappear, rebuild, and create something lasting. Each celebrity leaves a distinct imprint on these estates, sometimes sanctuaries, sometimes dramas. Depp's village remained a haven, but not every castle kept its peace. Château Miraval is where history and celebrity ambition collide. Nestled in the Provençal countryside, the estate's roots stretch back centuries. But its modern legacy began when Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie leased it in 2008, purchasing it outright in 2011. The 1,200-acre property features a grand chateau, terraced gardens, ancient aqueducts, and a 19th-century chapel. But Miraval's fame isn't just architectural, it's musical. In 1977, jazz pianist Jacques Lussier built Studio Miraval on the estate. Just 2 years later, Pink Floyd recorded parts of The Wall there. AC/DC, The Cranberries, and Sting followed. After purchasing the estate, Pitt invested in restoring the studio, preserving its atmosphere while upgrading its technology. The vineyard became another point of pride. With the Perrin family, Pitt and Jolie launched Miraval's Rosé label, which quickly gained international acclaim. In 2014, they married in the estate's chapel, an intimate ceremony that seemed to cement Miraval as their sanctuary. But that illusion didn't last. After their separation, Jolie sold her 50% stake in 2021 to a subsidiary of Stoli Group for $164 million. Pitt filed a lawsuit, citing a prior agreement to get mutual consent before any sale. The legal battle that followed turned the chateau into a courtroom backdrop, with its wine and music legacy overshadowed by headlines. Miraval became more than a retreat. It became a symbol of ambition, division, and what happens when love, legacy, and litigation share the same vineyard. Oprah Winfrey's Montecito estate is a masterclass in modern power and privacy. Known as the Promised Land, it spans 70 acres and is anchored by a 23,000-square-foot mansion. This isn't just a home. It's a self-contained world of terraced gardens, ancient oaks, and a guest house reserved for VIP visitors. No moats, no battlements, just high walls, electronic gates, and discreet cameras. In today's world, control looks like landscaping and laser-cut privacy lines. The question is no longer how to defend a castle, but how to disappear inside. 1. Every detail reflects careful curation. A tree-lined driveway offers grandeur. The rose garden and tennis court reflect the lifestyle Oprah shares with her audience. Inside, there's a home theatre and a library with floor-to-ceiling shelves. Spaces built not for show, but for comfort and permanence. Montecito itself adds another layer of exclusivity. This coastal enclave is a mosaic of celebrity estates, each quietly competing for privacy. Here, the true markers of status aren't gold leaf or marble columns. They're silence, distance, and invitation-only access. Oprah's estate may lack ancient stone, but it's a castle nonetheless, crafted not for conquest, but for control. A private kingdom built on soft power. Yet not every celebrity estate offers this sense of mastery. Sometimes, the past won't stay silent, and the walls themselves seem to remember what fame would rather forget. Not every celebrity home offers sanctuary. Some carry histories so dark they seem to shape the lives of their owners. Few places embody this more than the LaLaurie Mansion in New Orleans, long considered one of America's most haunted houses. In 2007, Nicolas Cage purchased the infamous property at 1140 Royal Street for $3.45 million. He was drawn to its reputation, hoping it might inspire a horror novel. The mansion's infamy dates back to 1834, when a fire revealed the horrors committed by Madame Delphine LaLaurie. Enslaved people discovered mutilated and tortured in the attic. The news shocked the city and turned the home into a symbol of cruelty and unrest. Since then, the mansion's reputation has only grown. Visitors report ghostly apparitions, unexplained footsteps, freezing cold spots, and cries echoing through empty rooms. Some claim the house carries an oppressive presence that lingers even in daylight. Cage publicly downplayed any supernatural experiences, but local guides tell another story. According to legend, he spent only one night in the mansion before relocating across the street. When he lost the home to foreclosure in 2009, part of a $5.5 million tax collapse, locals whispered that the house had cursed him too. Unlike the European castles Cage tried to restore, this one seemed to resist reinvention. Its walls held more than history. They held something heavier, something that couldn't be paid off, redesigned, or ignored. Some estates inspire, others repel, and a few leave scars that last far longer than the ownership deed. Some of the world's most iconic music has come to life inside castle walls, where centuries-old stone meets cutting-edge sound. At Château Miraval in Provence, jazz pianist Jacques Lussier built a studio in 1977 that quickly became legendary. In 1979, Pink Floyd recorded parts of the wall there, drawn to its thick walls and vaulted ceilings that shaped the album's haunting atmosphere. Over the years, AC/DC, The Cranberries, and Muse followed. After Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie bought the chateau, the studio sat quiet until Pitt partnered with producer Damien Quintard to restore it in 2022. The result? A hybrid analog-digital studio with Dolby Atmos tech nestled inside a historic estate. Other musicians have found similar magic in stone. Sting's Il Palagio in Tuscany features a private studio where he recorded songs from the labyrinth. The villa's echoing stone rooms warm every note. In Dordogne, Château de Miraval, owned by music executive Miles Copeland, became a retreat for artists like John Bon Jovi, Cher, and Sting to write and record surrounded by medieval towers. Even Mick Jagger got in on the trend. At Stargroves, his grand English estate, mobile recording trucks captured raw takes from the Rolling Stones and Led Zeppelin, shaped by the room, the walls, and the moment. These aren't just novelty locations. Musicians return because these spaces shape their sound. Ancient architecture adds character no studio can replicate, and each take is infused with the history of the place. It's not just music being recorded, it's atmosphere, legacy, and echoes that linger long after the amps go quiet. Celebrity fame leaves a complicated legacy on these historic estates, sometimes reviving them, sometimes leaving behind lawsuits, hauntings, or creative sparks. Nicolas Cage restored German turrets, only to lose them to the IRS. Johnny Depp poured himself into a Provençal village. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie's chateau became both a wedding stage and a legal battleground. Each left their mark, but at what cost to the stories that came before? When the lights fade and the gates close, what truly endures? The myths we build or the stones beneath our feet? If these tales of fame and fortress intrigued you, let us know which castle you'd visit. And don't forget to subscribe for more.